Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs in philanthropy don't come from new strategies. They come from fixing what should never have been broken in the first place. Welcome to Money to Give with me, Rick Peck, the philanthropy guy. With over 20 years in the nonprofit sector, I've seen hundreds of millions of dollars transferred from donors to nonprofits. I've learned a lot along the way that I want to help convey to you, my loyal listeners. In this podcast series, we talk about 1, how nonprofits can most effectively showcase their mission and vision and raise as much money as possible. 2, how donors and potential donors can make the greatest impact possible in the world. And 3, how professional advisors, including philanthropy advisors, can offer the most up-to-date information and services to their clients. So join us here each episode for more of that giving feeling. Today's conversation explores a critical question. Why do donors stop giving? And what actually inspires them to stay? My guest, James Misner of the Kipos Group, comes back for a second conversation, and he shares powerful insights drawn from real-world experiences, ranging from major gifts that go unacknowledged to donor communications that fail to connect. But more importantly, we unpack what truly works, how storytelling, personalization, and consistent communication can transform donor relationships. We also dive into practical strategies like monthly impact updates, using authentic stories of individuals, and even leveraging tools like text messaging and AI to create donor experiences that feel meaningful, timely, and human. If you're a nonprofit leader, donor, or advisor looking to deepen engagement and build lasting impact, this conversation will challenge and inspire you. Let's begin. All right, I have another question for you. How do you design monthly impact updates that actually move retention and average gift, cadence, format, ownership, and the few metrics that make a donor say, my gift changed something?
Oh my gosh, there's a lot in that question. So let's just dive right in, roll up our sleeves and get going. Okay. So, number one, you're designing monthly impact updates. So you're winning just by doing that. Okay. Like we've talked about already, this is just a win to do it. Number two, the number one thing that moves people are stories of individuals' lives being transformed. Okay. A lot of people say, hey, let's tell them about the 250 people that got, boxes of food, or the 250 beds that we have in our shelter. That is great. And you need that. And it comes later. But the number one thing that moves humans is a story of another human and their life being transformed. Okay. So that's the story of the one, is what we call it. A mom, a kid, a dad. Tell that story. I would do that, if we're doing this monthly, there's 12 of them, 12 months in a year. I would make sure, 3, 4, 5 of those are stories of individual change. Okay. That is how a donor is going to most feel connected to the work. A lot of other things that you can do. And I think that donors are hungry for.
It sounds like you really want people to feel like they're identifying with a neighbor or a friend, or that story makes them feel like it's someone they know or someone they could impact versus a stranger. I think that's what I'm hearing you say with that story of one, or the idea that you're...
Absolutely. Every study I've ever read, when it comes to groups that we don't have an immediate connection with, humans in general are not trusting creatures when we don't know something. We're just hardwired to be skeptical and scared of things that are different than us. Whether that is people from a different country, people from a different culture, immigrants in our community, there is one thing that social scientists have found that breaks all those barriers down. It's actually getting to know someone. Once you get to know someone, once you hear their story, you can no longer, other them, quote unquote. Which is why you have this situation where right now, at least in the US, we can make broad generalizations about groups of people, but don't talk about my friend, that way, even if they're in that group that, you're talking about a different way. So it's just this really unique. Once you learn about someone's story, it's very hard to discount them. But there needs to be some other things in here as well. It can't just be you send an email of these stories. Um, I think that updates from leadership. Hey, James, this is the CEO of whatever organization you're giving to right now. I just wanted to say thanks. I got to see some amazing work this month because of what your gift brought about. So throwing a little bit of personal acknowledgement into that. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Can I say, James, to that point, this is a little different, but I just want to mention it. My wife has started to work in doing some work as a vacation consultant, and she said that she started to get personalized emails from the president of the organization, essentially saying thank you, like you're making a difference. I noticed you. I see you. And she said, and she's been around a long time. She's seen a lot of things, but she said that really touched me. That really meant something to me. I don't know if it's AI generated. I don't know, but I'll just tell you, I've gotten 2 emails from the president at this point acknowledging my work, and it means something to me. And I feel like that same sort of translation, that leadership, as busy as they are, they stopped and took a moment and said, I see you. I appreciate your gift. I appreciate the impact that you're making. I want you to know that you are making a difference, right?
Yeah. I mean, one of the core human desires in life is to be seen. Okay. I think at this point, we don't care if it's AI generated. If somebody is seeing us and they're going through the effort to put it into the AI chatbot or whatever, we feel seen by it. My wife's boss does the same thing every 2 to 3 months. She gets a note in the mail. She is so loyal to that company. Because the CEO does the same thing. So loyal to that company. And if we do that to our givers, I think they'll be just as loyal to us because it's so rare in today's world to take 30 seconds and acknowledge another human.
Yeah, exactly. In a personalized way, in a way that says this isn't just like a generic, who cares? Like we're looking for a survey or something. This is like, hey, I just want to take a moment and say thank you. And you are making a difference, and stay close to us. Keep coming back. We need you. We want you. And hopefully you like what we're doing.
Yeah. Another thing I think people should do is they should hear from program staff, okay, in these monthly updates. Donors are accustomed to hearing from fundraisers and marketers, okay? I mean, it's our job as fundraising and marketers to like talk to the donors. It's the CEO's job, arguably, to talk to the donors. But the person running that program, the person managing that aspect of the organization, most donors, especially, if there's a geographic distance, they don't ever connect with those people. So I think a little update from them, twice a year is great. Hey, this is, insert your name, and I manage this program you support. Thank you so much. Here are 3 things that I've seen.
Yeah, I'm on the ground. I'm doing the work that you want to know more about, and I will say, in many ways, I think those are the celebrities of the organization. These are the people that the average donor doesn't know what these workers do. They don't know what it's like to be close. And I think they're fascinated with the idea of those people are the types of individuals that I'm supporting with my donation. They're right on the ground doing the work with those constituents. And that's great. I actually did a podcast episode with somebody who was talking about being a service coordinator for an organization that works with the homeless. And it was one of the most highly downloaded podcast episodes because I think people are absolutely fascinated with the work on the ground, something they don't see every day, something they're not familiar with, and it's making an impact.
One of the best fundraisers I've ever worked with, his name is Nate. He's now gone on to be a professional farmer, of all the random things. He managed our mid-level community, and he would walk around this was a global organization, but when program staff were in the office or he was on the field, he would walk around with his phone. And what he would do is when he found something that motivated him, that he thought was really neat, instead of saying, oh, let me put that in the roster, in the schedule for 6 months from now, he would say, everybody stop right now. He would take out his phone. His mid-level community was called Changemakers. And he'd be like, hey, Changemakers, it's Nate. I just learned this thing, and I want you to know about it right now. So I'm here with... They were 90 seconds. The camera was all, bouncing around. Givers loved it because it wasn't produced. It was raw. It was authentic. They absolutely loved it. He would do it in the office. even if it just was a finance person from, wherever in Africa coming through. I met this guy. He's doing great work. I wanted you to meet him too. His audience loved it because it was raw and just real.
And timely. I
And
mean, it was
timely.
happening right in the moment. And so it's like you're right on the ground getting it almost like a live feed, right? And so I can see why people would really enjoy that.
That's right. You asked in that question too, that really big question that you
Yeah,
asked
yeah, yeah,
about format.
yeah.
Um, I am a big fan of do not keep the format the same all the time. Okay. People live their lives in all types of different spaces. They live it on their phone, they live it on their computer, they live it at work, they live it at a coffee shop, they live it walking to the physical mailbox. Okay. Make sure you're communicating in all of those different, mediums. Okay. Every once in a while, send a note to somebody's or a report to somebody's physical mailbox. There's an excitement now when you get something that's for you, that's not, a credit card application or a gift catalog, not like a nonprofit gift catalog, but like the Amazon, gift catalog. And there's an excitement for that. Like, oh, somebody took the time to do this because all we get in the mail now is junk. Okay. So when a human sends you something, it's exciting. Um, I've been fascinated. My 10-year-old, um, one of our best friends as a family lives in Chicago. They have a daughter, we live in DC, the same age, and they write letters back and forth. They don't send emails. They're like two little old ladies writing these handwritten notes back, and they love it. I think there's something about getting something physical that's important. Um, I think text message is a very underutilized thing in donor reports. Now, I'm not talking about the automated, we're sending out 10,000, auto text messages. I'm talking about Richard wants to give James, a giver, an update. So Richard sends a text,
I see.
like 2 or 3 sentences with the update. Okay.
Right. A personal text,
A
obviously.
personal text.
Yeah. Yeah.
Consulting with this firm right now, this organization right now, and one of their new major gift officers was having a really hard time. He started in September, which is the hardest time to start as a major gift officer, right? Like it's go time, trying to build relationships with his portfolio, and there's like 15 that just aren't responding. So I said, "Have you tried texting them?" He's like, "Well, that feels too invasive." I'm like, "Okay, well, put yourself in their shoes. Do you think they feel it's invasive, or are you just nervous about it potentially being invasive? Because you get a text message, you don't want it, you delete it. There's not a lot of feelings there. So I said, just do a test, do 5 of them, 100% response rate. Okay. And I told him this story that I'm about to tell you. Our third son is adopted, and the adoption agency, because my wife is from East Africa, I've worked there, always wants us to be the people that talk to their new, potentially adopting families. I tell them, if you have them send me an email, I'm going to forget about it. An hour later, it's going to be 40 emails deep. If they want to talk, tell them to send me a text message. And chances are I will respond back within 2 or 3 hours. And this past Tuesday night, somebody sent me a text message. Hey, we're considering adopting from this place with these people. Do you have 15 minutes? I said, I'll call you back in 10. Like, let me finish this thing. I'll call you back. The day before, somebody wrote me an email, a different family, with the same request. I haven't responded to them yet. I keep forgetting about it. So,
That's
like,
funny. Yeah.
it
Something
works
about the
for
text.
us as people. It'll work for your donors. Your donors aren't that different from you.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. A text sometimes feels more immediate, more personal, like you say, and an email just feels like I've got thousands of emails to go through, and I'll get to it at some point. But I also think what I'm hearing you say really is mix it up in the sense of you just, first of all, you never know what people are going to respond to. Second of all, it's kind of keeps it fresh. Like the different it's like, oh, I don't know how they're going to communicate with me, but I know they're creative about it, and I know they're trying, and they're thinking about the fact that different people communicate in different ways, and text being one of those that you say is underutilized.
That's right. Yeah, I think the final thing is just a since your last gift report. This is kind of getting at the 9, 10, 11, 12 months, since somebody gave a gift. Just send them, in the mail, an actual, not a folded thing, but a 9.5 by 11. Since your last gift, here's what we do with your money. And that's where I think you include some metrics. They will have gotten the stories. They will have gotten the personal touch points from the fundraiser, from the CEO, from the program staff, hopefully some video, some emails, some text, some snail mail. Here's where you say, hey, with your dollars, we did this. We reached 117 people with this program. We did 27 people with this program. We became more efficient in these ways. Most nonprofits would never do what I'm about to say next, but they should. We struggled in these areas. Okay. If nonprofits were, scoring 10 out of 10 on everything every year, all the time, we wouldn't need nonprofits, anymore. We would have solved all of the world's problems. Okay. Let them know where you're struggling. Let them know where you haven't figured it out yet. It makes you human. It makes you transparent. It makes you vulnerable. People are attracted to that. Just go, read or listen to Brene Brown a little bit on that. And then it sets up the next gift cycle.
Yeah.
Hey,
well, I think it creates
better.
Yeah, it creates a certain urgency, a challenge of sorts. And I think what it says is by being vulnerable, you're saying to the audience, hey, it's not like we're not trying. We are trying. We're really trying our best, and we have some challenges, or we made some mistakes, or some things we're trying to work through. I think that makes it more interesting, in my opinion. I mean, you could argue that people would go right to that section and say, "Huh, is there something I can do about that? Do they need more money? Do they need more volunteers? Like, how can I help? Is there something I can do to help, or is this just something they need to work through over the next year to get better next year?" But it makes it more accessible, as you say, more unusual, and makes me feel like I might be also thinking about those challenges with them, and maybe they'll invite me to the table to have a conversation with them. Who knows, right?
Yep, absolutely. And we need to be careful here. A lot of nonprofits who do this, the small percentage, will say, okay, here are some external things that are challenging to us. The government did this, the city council voted on this. Those things should be in there, by the way. But not all of it should be external. Some of it should be internal. We're trying to get more efficient in this way. We haven't quite figured this out. We're trying to connect this program with this program. Just let them know what you're thinking, because they'll probably eat it up.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's an important point, right? External challenges and internal issues that we're working through. But it shows that you're cognizant, and it reminds me in another way about, I remember seeing when I was a financial advisor, the mutual fund managers would, instead of just saying, hey, everything was perfect, we did a great job as usual, look at our returns, and they would say, here are some things that we struggled with as mutual fund managers this year. And it didn't make you feel like, oh, well, that I don't want to work with you. I don't want to have your mutual fund. If anything, it was like, thank you for bringing me into your world. Thank you for letting me see a perspective that I wouldn't normally see, and for saying that you're not perfect, and yet you're trying. You're doing your very best as a professional to do the best work you can. And I respect that as a listener, as a reader, whoever. I'm coming in and saying, now I'm engaged. I'm watching your next steps. I'm curious. How are you going to pull this off, or what are you going to do next year? And thank you for engaging me.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, great. So one last question for you. If you rebuilt the 2025-2026 donor journey around, quote, bespoke plus transparent, what touch points would you add?
This is a good question. I think it all depends on the baseline of that organization, right? I would make sure, and we just kind of touched on this, but the monthly communication is key. Okay. There's another separate group that we're working with right now, and I'm on their email list. Our company, gives to them. They're an adoption foster care organization here in Maryland, and they skip sending out any touch points all summer long. So you get this really intense October, November, December. You get a thank you in January. You get a spring campaign, and then nothing until the fall campaign. Okay. The reality is, and this kind of goes back to the beginning of our conversation, that there's so few touch points. You just have to map it out. Okay. So if you're not doing that, you have to map it out, and you just have to put your hand to the tiller and do it. Okay. So I think that is just to kind of bring the conversation full circle. You have to do it. And then bespoke. Okay. One of the things that concerns me just about the nonprofit space is capacity issues. Okay. Um, the nonprofit space is a cash strapped space. Obviously, when you get into the big, 100 nonprofits that are out there that are a billion plus, that's a different story. When you're looking at the 10 million and under space, cash strapped, I think there are some things that can really help. Nonprofits have been very slow to uptake on AI. Okay. If you are a 5-person team and you have 500 donors, you can't create 500 bespoke pieces every single month. It's just not possible. I think that nonprofits need to get much better at just at least testing out AI a little bit. Nonprofits are kind of the ethicists, of our society. They're skeptical of technology. Oftentimes they don't like big tech companies, but they got to try it out. And you got to tell the AI, here's what you want to do. We want to make this personal to Richard and James and Beth and Mary and Joe, and just learn how to do it so that you can become more authentic, become more transparent, even in your constrained environment of not having a writing staff of 10 people. And I talk to a lot of nonprofits who are like, I don't know about AI. Are they going to learn from us? And I'm kind of like, hey, nonprofits, they are learning from everything out there ever that has been published or worked on by humans. Your little bit isn't going to really change, AI all that much. And if you want to, pay for the subscription so it's not learning, from you.
Oh, that's interesting, right? Because you can get it free means that they're going to use it, and if you pay for $20 a month or something for OpenAI's ChatGPT, they don't. It's sort of you're giving them $20 and you're saying don't share my information, right? So
yeah.
That's interesting.
They say they don't use it. I don't really even know what that means, but
right.
Because if you're using it to create something that goes out into the universe, they're going to use that, So it's unique. But these organizations are so low on bandwidth. They have a hard time, doing this communication in general. We have to find some ways and some tools, and there are some really great ones out there now to help with this.
No, that's right. I myself, what I've learned about AI is if you give it something to work from, if you say, basically try to duplicate my voice or the way I write something and so on, it will do that. And then I can just go in and edit it. But a lot of the time it does nail my cadence and my voice and the tone that I was looking for, because it's learning from the way I've written things already. So in that way, it does save me time. I just have to scan it and say, yeah, I would have written it that way, including points of emphasis, like bold letters in a newsletter or whatever the case may be. So I don't think it sacrifices your voice. It can. I suppose you can have AI do something that feels like it's not your authentic voice. But that's where I feel like AI works the best, is when it's learning from the way you already do something and then trying to duplicate that. So that way you can send something out to 500 people that might not be specific to James, but it might be pretty close enough and feel like you are talking to me without saying James. It still feels like it's personalized enough. And I think that goes back to leveraging the fact that a lot of people don't have the resources and the time, and AI can be your friend in that way. And I've learned that from a few virtual assistants that I've worked with and other people who are working in AI, is that it's not like you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater and saying, like, forget it, I'm not going to use AI at all. It's like, try AI in certain ways and see if it works for you. It actually might make you more efficient and without losing your voice.
That's right. One of the things that I try to do with my quote unquote AI assistant is I am building this farm where we live, and I will be out there at lunchtime in the evening, working oftentimes by myself. And that's where I have content ideas. That's where I am like, oh, I want all my clients to hear about this, or I want to post this on LinkedIn or in a newsletter. I will just open my AI app, put my AirPods in, and I'll talk to it and say, I want to do this. I want to do this. I'll almost give a little speech while I'm digging holes and planting trees, in the backyard. And then I say, hey, turn that into something that I can edit a week from now when I have time. And I have often found, I think this is true for most people, you don't have your best ideas sitting at your desk at your computer. You have your best ideas when you're working out, when you're walking, when you're running, when you're in the shower. use AI and record it, and help it to use it to organize your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've heard before, you're writing when you don't think you are. Sometimes, like you say, you're driving or something. That's when the ideas are coming to you or the words are coming to you. And if you take the moment to write those down or dictate them out, then you save them for later. Instead of sitting in front of your computer with writer's block, it's like your brain is probably given permission to think when it's not on the spot. It's just,
that's right.
Hey, it's like while I'm thinking about grocery shopping or farming, as you say, like all of a sudden something pops into your head and you go, hey, that's a good idea.
And everybody has their own zone, right? That area where you just feel like you're nailing it when you're communicating to others. And even some of the most, data-driven, program wonky executive directors that I've worked with, when they are in the car driving and you ask them a question, they nail the answer to it, okay? When you're at lunch, they nail the answer to it. When you're in the office, in the conference room, you get 20 qualifications and it just gets boring and, So I tell them, hey, I'm going to ask you this question and we're going to record it. And you just get them in that zone and the communication just flows much more freely. Now, some people, that zone is in a big comfy chair with a cup of coffee or hot chocolate or tea. Some people it's on a run, but find out what your zone is where you communicate the best, where you're just like, yeah, I'm on fire right now.
Yeah.
And then record it.
Right. Makes sense. Strike while the iron's hot, as they say, right? Well, thank you so much, James. This is so insightful. I love the creativity that you're bringing, the intentionality, the fact that you're thinking about the human being who is the fundraiser, but also the organization and of course the constituents and the people who are receiving the information. So everything you're saying makes tons of sense. I think it's just a matter of taking the time to lay it out, as you say, and start to do these things so you can start to do things differently and have more effect and have more connections with the people that you're trying to connect with, so they feel like it's a robust relationship rather than a transactional relationship or a one-off every once in a while I hear from them relationship, but almost like more like they're part of my life. And I look forward to their communications. I look forward to seeing what's next because I can't wait to make more impact with them, and they can't wait to take whatever I'm giving them and use it to make impact, right? So yeah,
that's right.
So fantastic. So how would people get in touch with you?
Yeah, there's two ways. Number one, I'm on LinkedIn every single day. So just look me up on LinkedIn, James Misner. If you send me a DM, I will respond back to it personally. The other is our website, thekiposgroup.com, Kipos, thekiposgroup.com. Tons of stuff there. You can schedule a meeting with us. We have some free resources on there about matching your impact with your revenue. And if any of this was helpful, take a look.
Yeah, fantastic. And Misner, for those of you who are just listening, MISN as in Nancy, ER. And as he said, you can find him. You can find James on LinkedIn. So very, very, very good stuff. I appreciate all that you're doing, the good work on the ground with these nonprofits, trying to make them as effective as possible. And you're always welcome back to come and tell us more stories whenever you like in the future. So we appreciate that.
Awesome. I would love that. Thanks so much, Richard.
All right. Thank you, James. Take care.
That wraps up today's conversation with James Misner, our second conversation. And it's a powerful reminder that meaningful giving is built on meaningful connection. There are 3 key takeaways I want to leave you with. First, consistency builds trust. Regular, thoughtful communication, especially monthly impact updates, keeps donors connected and reminds them that their gift is making a difference. Second, stories move people. Data matters, but it's the story of one life changed that truly captures attention, builds empathy, and inspires continued generosity. And third, personalization creates loyalty. Whether it's a quick text, a note from leadership, or an authentic update from someone on the ground, donors want to feel seen. And when they do, they lean in even more. So, as you reflect on today's conversation, consider where you can move from transactional communication to truly relational engagement, and how even small changes could lead to lasting impact. Thanks for listening to Money to Give. If this conversation resonated with you, please leave a review on your preferred streaming platform, share it with a friend or colleague, and most importantly, keep that giving feeling going. We are now broadcasting in 37 countries and growing, with 500 downloads per month and nearly 10,000 downloads to date. A reminder, This podcast is meant to be for educational purposes only. For specific advice related to your own situation, please consult an attorney, financial advisor, CPA, or other type of trusted consultant. If you're looking for fresh insights on how to give smarter, raise more money, and advise your clients in a more informed way, please subscribe to my weekly newsletter, Charitable Giving News for You. Register by going to my website, thephilanthropyguy.com. In the newsletter, you'll also read about many of our podcast guests, while also getting helpful tips and advice for nonprofits, donors, and professional advisors. Meaningful giving starts with meaningful connection, so please connect with me, Richard Peck, on LinkedIn as well. I am now approaching 10,000 connections. Until next time, let's keep making a difference together.